Okay, so we're just 1 week into the Eagles season, and Jalen Hurts has already exposed a massive lie about him, as during week 1, Hurts excelled in one area of the game that just ahead of the season, people were calling his biggest weakness. Meanwhile, it seems like the Birds could have found a hidden gem in Mekhi Becton, as his numbers from week 1 came out, and the new starting right guard couldn't have been better. And also, Saquon Barkley couldn't have been better in his Eagles debut, but the most important thing with him is just keeping him fresh and healthy throughout the year, and Nick Sirianni recently talked about how the Eagles plan to do that. And he also talked about the new edge rusher Bryce Huff and the concerns surrounding him after a disappointing debut in which he seemed to lose some snaps to some of the other Eagles edge rushers. So we're going to get into that and all the other latest Eagles news starting right now. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Philly Fan 21 channel. If you're new, I'm Evan and I cover all things Philadelphia Eagles. And we start off with Birds legend Jason Kelce, who recently just kicked off the start of his new career of being a broadcaster on Monday Night Football, and in typical Kelce fashion, he didn't fail to entertain, as he owned up to a little mishap that he had before his first ever regular season broadcast.
We are thrilled to welcome in a six-time first team.
Yes,
All
sir.
NFL selection. Is
Six
Super Bowl
times?
champion. Six times.
Six times.
Future gold jacket wearer. He got a podcast that apparently is doing fairly well. And all that said, Jason Kelce is wearing a shirt he got at the mall because he left his travel bag in the truck. Left the bag in the truck.
My fits my belly now. I've lost a little bit of weight, but my tits are still struggling.
This is hilarious, and it's also not the first time Jason has forgotten to bring his clothes to an event, as the whole jeans situation from the premiere of the Kelce documentary comes to mind.
We had a picture of you on the green carpet, not the red carpet. You really got dressed up.
I was going to have jeans on, but Kylie
What?
Kylie was running late. I came straight from football. Kylie was going to bring the jeans. Kylie was late.
Why didn't Jason bring jeans for Jason?
Because I was at football, and I needed the jeans for after football. And I'm not going to wear jeans all day. That's just doesn't sound fun. And I'm realizing now I probably can't blame Kylie for this. Anyways, so
I could just see you pull it up. You don't have my jeans? I'm going to look like an idiot. Gosh.
so true. So true.
So you gotta love Kelce, and safe to say he's natural on TV on the Monday night broadcast, so it was fun to see him make his TV debut on Monday night. And while it was bittersweet, it also was cool to see the Eagles offensive line make their debut without Jason Kelce for the first time since 2011. And the best part is, they were pretty great, as the Kelce-less Eagles offensive line was the second best graded line in terms of pass protection in the league in week 1, and also the 4th ranked run blocking line. So yes, it is just game 1, but I think that this 100% proves that even without Kelce, the Eagles still have a great offensive line, and it's not like they were mistake-free, but we do have to remember that there are a couple moving parts, and we just can't expect everything to be perfect right away. And I think it's clear that as time goes on, they will only continue to get better. Now, one of those moving parts on the offensive line is the right guard Mekhi Becton, as, of course, not only is Becton a new addition from this offseason, but he also switched positions from tackle to guard once arriving in Philly, and I'd say, somewhat surprisingly, Becton wowed the coaches enough during camp and the offseason for him to win the starting right guard job, but he showed why on Friday, as Becton was dominant in his first regular season start with the Eagles, as he allowed 0 QB pressures, 0 sacks, 0 hits, and 0 hurries as well, and he was also just tossing people around and really just manhandling the Packers defensive line during the game. And on Monday, head coach Nick Sirianni praised Becton for his performance as he outlined all the things that he did well.
Mekhi is so big, and what you saw there with Mekhi on Friday night was, you know, he was controlling the guy. Like, he was going against good players, right? That's a good front. And he was controlling them at the line of scrimmage, and there wasn't a lot of pushback into Jalen's face because he's so big and so long that he was able to control there. And so I thought Mekhi did a really nice job, particularly in the pass game, of keeping the pocket firm inside.
I do think Becton deserves a ton of credit, because I'll admit, as much as I was encouraged by the things that he did well in camp and all the things that his teammates said about him, I was still a little bit unsure about whether he could actually come in and have instant success at a new position after having a ton of struggles last year and also in years past. So he certainly gave me a pleasant surprise with this performance on Friday night with just how good he looked. Because if he keeps this up, I mean, that's going to be elite production the Eagles are getting from their right guard position throughout the entire year, and it seems like at that point the Eagles would have then found a hidden gem in Becton since they got him late in the offseason in free agency. But now it's just about whether or not he actually can keep it up or not, so I guess we'll see if he's able to do that as the season moves forward. But now, moving on to something else that happened yesterday, we look at Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott, who officially signed his contract extension, but in his little announcement video, he actually seemed to copy what has probably become Jalen Hurts' most well-known quote.
The ink is on the paper, the deal is done, super thankful. Thankful for that, thankful for the Jones, thankful for all of you, the support. Excited to be here, another 4 years, keeping the main thing the main thing. Now it's time to go win.
Yeah, we all know that Jalen said that first, and it's just interesting to see the QB of the Birds' biggest rival kind of almost stealing Jalen's quote here. And yes, obviously this doesn't even matter, but still worth noting. And what was even more interesting was seeing Jalen Hurts essentially expose a false narrative that was floating around about him before the season. So don't worry, we're going to get into that and so much more in just a minute, but real quick, I do want to say, if you are enjoying this video and don't want to miss any other Eagles coverage or content coming throughout this entire season, then make sure you subscribe and also really importantly, turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. I think that's a win-win for the both of us, because not only do I consistently get more people watching these videos, but you don't miss any other Eagles coverage or content just like this. So again, subscribe, turn on notifications, and also drop a like. Let's see if we can hit 800 likes on today's video. And now with that being said, let's get back into the video. So just ahead of the start of this season, one particular report about Jalen Hurts was making waves, and the report said that one anonymous NFL defensive coach said that the way to beat Hurts is to simply run zero blitz, because as they put it, when you run zero blitz against him, he panics. Now when this report came out, I personally thought it was ridiculous, because we've seen Hurts be elite against the blitz before in the 2022 season, and if you watch the Eagles in 2023, you know that the issues against the blitz mainly had to do with the coaching staff and not providing any answers against it rather than Jalen. So it was no surprise to me when, in his first game with Kellen Moore on Friday, Hurts was elite against the blitz, as he debunked this false narrative and route to a perfect 158.3 passer rating against the blitz in week 1, which of course was first in the NFL. So I know it's just one game this year, but again, we've seen Jalen be very successful against the blitz in the past, and now here he is again shredding it with a good offensive coordinator. And this also brings me back to a point that I've made in my past 2 videos, being that Jalen really wasn't as bad as people have been saying he was on Friday, as there were plenty of things that he did great, and even after the terrible turnovers he had, he was still able to remain calm, come back, and execute at a high level, which Nick Sirianni pretty much echoed on Monday, as while he emphasized the need to take care of the ball, he also praised Jalen for his demeanor and expressed confidence in it.
Yeah, you know, obviously we're hyper focused on the football. We talk about the football a lot. You know, Jalen touches the ball every down. And so obviously you never want turnovers. You know, he's trying to make a play, but we gotta take care of the football, and he's gonna want those plays back. You know, obviously both of them are in 3rd and long scenarios, so you know, being able to take what the defense gives them in those scenarios is going to be key. Not concerned. He made a lot of good plays in this game. Like we talked about the 4-minute, even with some of these plays that didn't go his way, he made a lot of really good plays. You know, a bunch of throws that, you know, the touchdown throw to AJ, the touchdown throw to Saquon, the 4-minute throws to Devontae, like there's a bunch of plays there, and made a lot of big time plays in that game that helped put that game in our favor.
I'm really just looking forward to watching Jalen next week and also moving forward after that this year, because there is no doubt in my mind that he'll clean up some of these things and only get better as the season moves on. And someone else who we're really hoping can get better as the season goes on is edge rusher Bryce Huff, as like I talked about in my last video, the former Jet didn't do much of anything in his Eagles debut, which certainly wasn't a great sign with the Birds having paid him a monster contract in the offseason, and with them also relying on him really heavily this season to be an elite pass rusher. So it's clear that he does have to step things up moving forward. And what was interesting about Huff's debut was how much the Eagles actually used him and his snap count, as he was on the field probably a little less than you would have expected from your $50 million pass rusher, as both Brandon Graham and Nolan Smith saw a few more snaps than he did, which some people took as possibly another reason to be concerned. So with all that, Nick Sirianni explained Huff losing snaps, or rather taking a few less snaps than expected on Monday, and he did his best to shut down any concerns.
Yeah, just the way the snap counts went for that day. You know, sometimes you're in a drive, like there's different reasons for, you know, how the drive's going. If they're going, and they were going on the ball, you know, at certain points. So like some of those plays can kind of build up, you know, in that game with the style of game it was, and with some of the tempo that was happening. You know, those guys, I don't know exactly how many more reps was it, Jeff?
I think it was just a couple for Brandon and 1 for Nolan. Are you? Well, you know, this is the guy that you gave 51.
Yeah, I know, but when it's that close, when it's like 1 more or 2 more, I mean, that the context of that, you know, I didn't know exactly what it was, but yeah, I mean, it's a couple more.
I know that you said that, you know, and maybe Vic has said this too, that it's a new scheme for him. Is that
Sure.
is and Huff didn't really produce much.
No,
I just. But are you guys concerned?
Yeah, no, not at all. Again, like I said, Jeff, it's just the way sometimes the way it goes, and again, you want to keep guys fresh as how it goes and throughout the game. Pardon me. But sometimes that's very similar to how the touches on offense go as well.
I really honestly just think we're going to have to wait and see on Huff. No, I don't think him taking a couple less snaps than BG or Nolan is super alarming, although it was unexpected, to be honest. And we do also have to remember that Huff is making a huge adjustment to a brand new role with a brand new team while playing in a brand new defensive system. So yes, while it was a little unnerving for him to be pretty much a no-show in the opener, I'm not going to make any crazy judgments until we see a little bit bigger of a sample size. And also in regards to the D-line as a whole, because I know there are some concerns floating around regarding that group as well, I'm just really not too worried about most of the guys. I feel like just watching the game, I saw them generate some nice pressure on plenty of occasions, and it's only a matter of time before they start finishing. And also, Jalen Carter was expectedly a monster in that game, as he was throwing dudes around and putting people on their backs all game long. So I'm certainly not worried about him, and I think it's only a matter of time before he has a huge game. And someone who did have a pretty huge game on Friday that I feel like hasn't quite got enough credit was the safety Reed Blankenship, as the third-year undrafted man was the Eagles' highest graded player in Week 1, and he was also the fourth highest graded safety among 93 guys in the entire league. So we definitely got to give him some credit. I mean, the guy had the second most tackles on the team and also a game-changing pick. And honestly, I mean, this really shouldn't be much of a surprise because last season, Reed led the Birds defense in both tackles and interceptions. So I feel like it's time we start putting some respect on his name, and I'm just excited to continue to watch his development as this season continues to go on. And I'm also excited to continue to watch Saquon Barkley throughout the year as well, as of course he's coming off an incredible debut where he lived up to all the hype he's garnered during the offseason, and it seems like this could just be the start of an incredibly special season for him. But for him to have a year like that, he's obviously going to have to remain mostly healthy, and the Eagles are going to have to do what they can to make sure they manage his load a little bit. And Nick Sirianni was actually asked about that on Monday, and he talked about the Eagles' thought process and plans when it comes to that.
Obviously, you do everything you can do to win each football game. And so once the game's in the flow, you think about how you're going to win that game, and whether that's Saquon getting 20 whatever touches, whether that's us throwing the ball to AJ, Devontae, Dallas, whatever it may be. You try to manage them more within practice. So something like that with Saquon having that many touches, we'll have a plan for that this week in practice, where we can take some of the load off them there. But every time you go into the game, every game's so important in the NFL that it's hard to say when he's got a hot hand like that too, to say, hey, you don't want to keep giving him the ball because you're trying to win every single game that you play. So again, that's our job as coaches to manage that throughout the week during practice, and games will take care of itself. And as of right now, we handle that through our practice.
I honestly love that answer from Nick, because he's right. I mean, the number one priority during a game is winning that game. So you don't want to be thinking about things like, oh, well, I don't want to give Saquon too many carries because we got to manage his load a little bit, because that just overcomplicates things. And also, if Saquon getting the ball 30 times is what's the most effective way for them to win the game, then you want them to be able to do that. So I like that they're focused on managing him more during practice rather than in games and trying to keep him fresh in that way. And hopefully it pays off and Saquon stays healthy and has a special year. Now, the Eagles are currently less than a week away from their home opener on Monday night against the Falcons, and I'm going to be covering everything leading up to that, as well as, of course, all the other Eagles news throughout the entire season. So again, make sure you guys subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any other videos when they're uploaded. And also, while you're at it, make sure you drop a like to show some support. It really does help me out a ton, and I'd greatly appreciate it. Again, let's see if we can hit 800 likes today, and also leave a comment down below, because that also helps me out a lot, just regarding anything else that I talked about in this video. And if you want to watch another Eagles video going over how Jalen Carter was attacked on social media, among other things, you can check this out right here. Now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.